first of all, for keeping the 8 minutes, and secondly, for making these suggestion about how to give the process of decision-making more time in order to ease the dilemma about which he has talked. Our next speaker is Dr. Roberto Guimaraes. He is the chief on the Social Analysis and Policy section of the UN Social Perspectives on Development branch. He has been for a long time a key player in international summits and is very well into the international development scene. He has over 200 publications. One of the outstanding of those numerous publications is one with the title The Eco-Politics of Development in the Third World. Very well received and very often cited. Roberto, we are very glad that you are here. The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I just want to make a slight clarification. I used to be Chief of Social and Policy Analysis, and I retired 2 years ago when I better make this in public, because since then I sued the US government and the UN, and I won. I want to make sure that there's no conflict of interest, because I sued because I left the UN. Anyway, since we are in the parliament, I hope I will be able to avoid the curse of being a parliament and therefore assuming a politician type of behavior, as we have been doing since we started this morning. So I will try not to promise what I may not be able to deliver, because we were supposed to speak for 8 minutes and we have been speaking for 16 minutes and 12 minutes. I will try my best, but I may become a politician and betray my promise. There should be there the title of my intervention, because it sells it all, and then I can leave. Because basically the context of the idea that I want to express here is that what we heard in the first day. And I want to recall all of us the three messages that I got clearly from the first day and yesterday. First was Heidi Heichmann from the International Social Science Council, which said clearly, we know, but it was good to reiterate, that what we are facing, global environmental change, is directly a result of human actions. And I want to propose that is deepened by institutions, but it has not been caused by institutions. It's by individual actions. Second, we heard Hebe Vesuri from the Scientific Committee and from UNU saying that what is urgently needed now is action. And Ambassador Decima Wilson, the chair of the Small Island States Alliance, she was here yesterday, and she even went a step further, Heidi and Hebe, and say, what we need is action, but action now. So my contention, so that we can have some debate, I mean, at least in the last day, is that maybe we shouldn't be discussing a lot how we can reform the plane, make it more accountable or not, because actually I think we are missing the pilot. I think that the challenge now is not really more because of the emergency of environmental change. It's not much on institutions, on governments, but actually sheer politics, power plays. So we should be talking about actors and actors' unwilling actions which show their unwillingness to act, which now constitute the greatest obstacle to global environmental change. And then it reminds me that maybe we are living what Aaron Wildavsky, one of the great political scientists of last century, said in a book in the late 70s about public policy analysis and this science-policy dialogue, when he said in his classic book, speaking truth to power. And I think that what we are witnessing now is what Immanuel Wallerstein said a couple of years ago, echoing Wildavsky, saying that we have been speaking to power for so long now that is power willing to listen? And And thus I can, if we got in the frame mind of Jared Diamond in The Collapse, and it's good his subtitle, How Societies Choose to Collapse, that if we look at his checklist of past societies which collapsed, failure to anticipate change, failure to perceive change, failure to communicate change, and failure to solve change, if we look there, we haven't failed at all. We have not failed to anticipate. I mean, IHDP, IPCC are examples that we have not failed to anticipate global environmental change. The world has clearly not failed to perceive global environmental change. It's all over. I was technical coordinator of the Rio conference, and I remember that when I spoke about biodiversity in Rio at that time, people would ask me, does it come in tablets, liquid? Do you take after lunch? Now I have, and I'm not kidding, I have very articulate conversations with taxi drivers and garbage collectors. Garbage collectors, we can talk why, because economists show that they are very clever in predicting. But about climate change, so there's no failure to perceive, no failure to anticipate, no failure to communicate. Global environmental change now is in the Security Council, is in G8. So clearly, how much longer we will take to find out that we don't need more science. We need more science for science sake. But right now, it's not a question of anticipating, perceiving, communicating. We've been done great, A+ in all accounts. The question now is our inability to solve the situation. And this is not because of, in my view, and I want to be provocative with my colleagues and with you, it's not because of failure of design or institutions. It's not even what often we say, a lack of power. Because in my view, there is excessive lack of political will. There is excessive political will not to take action. So I think that I won't have time, I would love to give several examples in the nuclear energy, in the smoking bans, and many other examples of how we have managed to do the homework of Diamond, of perceiving, anticipating, and taking action. And now we cannot smoke any longer. And which shows that even when society and science are hand in hand, power is willing to listen. Even contradicting several powerful elites as the cigarette industry. So I could go over several examples showing that there's no excuse why we are not acting now. Even the financial crisis showed that there is no problem of governance there. Or to perceive, I won't mention because I don't have time, for over 2 years before the crisis, Paul Krugman, several people were talking about the crisis. The institutions are there now. Comes Bren and says, well, maybe I made a mistake. So it's not a question of institutions. And the question was that when the Wall Street Titanic was about to hit the iceberg, power was ready and willing, and very much willing, to take action, and a lot of action, to avoid the final sinking of the speculative boat. Not even the financial crisis shows that there is a failure of governance, but of specific actions of specific actors. And since I don't have time, I will just finish this with the words of Klaus Schwab, the creator of the World Economic Forum, Davos, that as soon as the crisis came out, he wrote a very good article that ended saying, don't look for governance to explain the crisis. Don't even look to lack of regulations. Look for lack of ethics in doing business. So I do believe that closing or getting close to the end, for the relief of our moderator, I go back saying that actually the iceberg is coming. The IHDP and the IPCC have been acting as great binoculars, putting more and more into focus the iceberg coming of global environmental change. And therefore, we shouldn't repeat the miscalculations and blindness of the captain, which is in